They call us saviors. When the signal came, it was little more than static and garbled syllables, barely intelligible to Earth's deep space listening stations. But buried in that noise was a cry, a desperate plea, carried across the void on a battered frequency, bouncing between dying stars. The words, once reconstructed, were simple enough. Help us. Save us. Earth had long since stepped into the wider galaxy, but we were far from the shining utopia outsiders might expect. We hadn't shed our scars. We hadn't erased our wars. What we had, however, was resilience. Humanity was carved in fire, sharpened by famine, plague, and war. When the plea reached the Terran Union Council, debates raged. Some argued caution, others duty. But history has a cruel sense of irony. We were called saviors. And so we went. The beginning, a broken world. I was there when we first made orbit around Kytheris. From space, the planet looked like a jewel shattered into dust. Continents scorched black, oceans choked with strange metallic scabs, the air itself carrying faint silver currents like threads of dying starlight. The people who lived there, the Kytherians, were almost unrecognizable as survivors. Thin, trembling creatures with elongated limbs, their pale blue skin mottled from starvation, their once proud eyes dulled into mirrors of despair. Their leaders greeted us not as diplomats, but as drowning victims clutching for a lifeboat. "You're kind. You endured the dark wars," their speaker rasped through a translator. "You know destruction. You survived it. Save us from ours." Their enemy was something they called the Devourers. Machines, endless and tireless, harvesting everything: stone, metal, flesh. They consumed the surface and left nothing but bone-white wastelands. The Kytherians were cornered in the last bastion of their underground cities. We had faced extinction before. From asteroids that scarred continents to nuclear winters to viral plagues that had no cure. Humanity had always clawed its way back. The Council voted unanimously. We would fight. The middle, humanity unleashed. We didn't bring gleaming silver fleets or elegant diplomacy. We brought soldiers hardened in wars nobody else wanted to remember. We brought machines of our own, crude compared to the galaxy's standards, but vicious, ugly things built for one purpose: to end threats. I remember watching Sergeant Valdez's unit deploy the first time. The Devourers surged across the shattered plains like a tide of living steel, thousands of legs tearing at the earth. Sleek alien empires might have retreated. Humans dug in. The sky erupted with the thunder of rail cannons, the ground split from orbital strikes, and our infantry met the swarm head-on with fire and fury. I still hear Valdez's laughter as his exosuit slammed into the enemy, flamethrowers roaring. The Kytherians watched in silence, horror mixing with awe. They called us saviors, but when they looked into the firelit visors of our troops, I could see the reflection of something else in their eyes: fear. Because saviors do not scream with joy as they kill. Saviors do not revel in the destruction of their enemies. But humanity is different. We do not run from the abyss. We become the abyss if that's what survival demands. The turning point: monsters in the ash. Weeks turned into months. With every battle, the Devourers fell back. Our tactics were ruthless, efficient. We learned how to exploit their hive logic, how to seed their ranks with viral code that turned machine against machine. But the cost was never one-sided. We lost people every day. Men and women torn apart, their last breaths choked in alien dust. The Kytherians would sing mourning hymns for our dead. They erected crystalline spires in their memory, whispering prayers. To them, we were divine retribution, gods of war sent across the stars to answer their prayers. Yet when their children peered out from behind carved stone shelters and watched us dragging back wounded Devourer drones, dismantling them for study, repurposing their weapons for our own, I saw their confusion, their horror. "Why do you keep them?" one child asked me, her translator device trembling in her small hand. "Because," I told her, "we learn from our enemies. We take their strength and make it ours. That's how we survive." She flinched, as if the idea itself was a cruelty. That night, I heard the Kytherians whispering a new word for us. Not saviors. Not allies. Something colder. Something closer to monsters. The climax, the last stand. The Devourers did not retreat forever. They gathered. They evolved. On the horizon came something new, a warform unlike anything we had faced. A towering engine of metal and flesh, crowned in writhing antennae that tore through our communications, surrounded by legions like locusts blotting out the sun. It was their Hive-Mind incarnate. The council debated withdrawal, but retreat was not in our nature. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity fights, even if it means burning the heavens themselves. So we dug in at the Kytherians' final city. Every gun, every blade, every ounce of blood was poured into that battlefield. I remember the ground quaking as orbital fire rained down, the air choking with ash and ozone. I remember Valdez's suit torn apart, his last words nothing but laughter as he triggered a warhead at point-blank range. We broke them. Not with elegance. Not with mercy. With sheer, unrelenting savagery. When the Hive-Mind fell, its death scream echoed across the stars like a signal flare. The swarm collapsed, lifeless husks scattering like dead leaves in a storm. Kytheris was free. The ending, saviors no more. The Kytherians emerged from their shelters to see the sky clear for the first time in decades.
They wept. They sang.
They bowed before us. But when they looked into our eyes, I knew. They no longer saw saviors. They saw what we truly were. Because we had shown them a truth their civilization had long since buried. That survival isn't beautiful. It isn't noble. It's cruel. It's bloody. It's merciless. The Kytherians thanked us. They rebuilt their cities. They offered tribute and words of reverence. But when we walked their streets, mothers pulled their children away. When our soldiers laughed around campfires, the Kytherians stared with hollow unease. One night, as I prepared to leave, the speaker came to me. "You have given us life," he said softly. "But at what cost? You are not what we expected." I looked at him, weary and unflinching. "You asked for saviors. What you got was humanity. We left them there, a free world once more. They would tell stories of us for generations. Some would call us gods. Others would call us demons. Both would be right, because we are humanity. We do not save without scars. We do not fight without fire. And when the galaxy calls for saviors, it will always get our monsters."